Welcome back to Simply Scratch Kitchen. My name is Hannah if you're new here. Today's a really exciting holiday themed video because we're going to make a $20 Thanksgiving dinner. I really wanted to put this video together because I think that something incredible that our grandmothers used to do is be able to stretch a dollar really far and turn little to nothing into really special holiday memories. So I wanted to try and do the same thing and show you how you can put together a Thanksgiving feast for only $20. Another thing I tried to do was use a lot of items in this video that you might get at a food bank in a Thanksgiving meal box. And so I can show you how to put some of these things together in ways you might not have thought of before that might be just even a little bit more delicious, and you don't have to put all that effort into figuring out what to do with those items. So I am going to be shopping at Walmart for this video, and so I'm going to actually order these items online and I will show you what I have. Now, I did this video several weeks in advance of Thanksgiving, so you may find even better deals at your store as you approach Thanksgiving. So definitely take advantage of that and add more things if you can, or just save that extra money. But I'm going to show you kind of worst case scenario what $20 will get you at Walmart to turn into a Thanksgiving feast. I ordered all of this on the Walmart app and just picked it up. And so I got this small container of sour cream. I got a 2-pack of these 9-inch pie crusts, this bag of crispy onions, a box of chicken flavored stuffing mix, a can of creamed corn, a large can of chunk chicken, a large can of green beans, cream of mushroom, chicken broth, 3 apples, Jiffy cornbread mix, large bag of marshmallows, 2 large sweet potatoes, and I got all of this for $20. So I'm going to show you how we're going to use this to make our full Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to get started working on my apple pie. This is going to be the dessert for our Thanksgiving meal. And as I was making this, I realized I only had 2 apples in my bag, and I obviously had 3 apples in that first clip. So I realized that my toddler had taken one out and eaten one. So this is going to be a little bit of a skinny pie, but I'm just adding whatever I had. I had some cinnamon sugar and some brown sugar, and that's what I put in this. So use whatever you have, and then a tablespoon of cornstarch just to help you make that nice caramelized sauce on your apples, as well as about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm only heating this until that sauce forms, just to give it some nice flavor and get the apples cooking down a little bit before we put it in the oven so that our crust doesn't cook faster than our apples. So when you can pull it away and just start to see that little caramelized sauce forming at the bottom, then you can turn it off and we'll get to work on our pie crust, which is going to be really easy. So just roll out your first crust here in the bottom of your pie pan and press it down really well because it will shrink up a little bit as it cooks and you don't want it to pull away from the side. You can do the crust on this pie however you like, but I sort of like to do a little crinkle crust here by just pushing 1 piece in and 2 pieces down onto my pie plate. And I think that makes a really pretty edge, but you can also just press it down flat and trim off the excess, or you can press it down with a fork as well. Remember, we're going to be adding a top on this pie crust as well. So this is just getting it started. And once you have that crust securely in there, you can add your apples. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit of a thinner pie because of my missing apple, but I ordered 3 and it only cost me about $1. So if you have a good deal on apples, just fill this nice and high. I think 3 apples would have been perfect. So I'm just going to roll out my second pie crust and cover this on the top. And I'm going to crimp those edges together and just continue my little pattern there on the top of the crust as well. Just make sure to push those edges down against your pan really well so they don't come loose while it's baking. Once you go all the way around your pie, you just want to cut some air holes in your pie to let some steam out. You can do this a lot of ways. You can use a really cute cookie cutter if you like. You can do a design. You could make a lattice print out of this if you would like, but I'm just going to do a little cross in the top here with a really sharp knife. This is going to go in the oven on 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes or until your top is nice and golden brown. There's nothing like a classic apple pie, and this is going to go so well with our classic Thanksgiving dinner. Probably your first question when you saw this video is, how are we going to get a turkey or a ham for only $20? And so I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes using this chunk chicken and a box of stuffing mix. We're going to add this chicken to the boiling water. You're going to follow the water directions on the back of your stuffing. Just add a little bit of fat, oil, butter, whatever you have. And then I'm going to add the chicken with the liquid in the can just for a little more flavor. And we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to make this really delicious chicken and stuffing casserole. You're still going to get the meat in there, but it's going to spread a little bit further. And let me tell you, this has all of those perfect nostalgic Thanksgiving flavors in it that you want out of a Thanksgiving dinner. So you are not going to suffer at all for having to use something a little bit more budget friendly. Just follow the instructions on the stuffing packet, and then when it's done, you're going to add this to a baking dish, and we're going to put it in the oven on 375 for about 20 minutes. This is going to help this cook through, dry out a little bit in spots, and get a nice golden crunch on the top. Next, I'm going to move on to cooking my sweet potatoes. So I have just peeled and cut these into large chunks, and I'm adding them to my boiling water. It's amazing how far 2 sweet potatoes will go, and hopefully you should have some really good deals on sweet potatoes in the coming weeks that will fit even better into this budget meal plan. The only things I'm adding to this are about a tablespoon of butter, and then we're going to be using some of our milk as well as some brown sugar. That's what I really enjoy putting in my sweet potatoes because we are going to top them with marshmallows as well. I didn't want to add too many different flavors here. I just want you to see that you don't need any special equipment to make really delicious, fluffy sweet potatoes. I am just using an old-fashioned potato masher because when you boil these really well until they're just about to fall apart, and then you add that milk in there with them, they're going to get really soft and really fluffy, and you do not need a mixer or a beater or anything like that unless you just want to use it. I just gradually added a little bit more milk and beat these a little bit until they got to the texture that I wanted them. I'm adding these to my baking dish, and then, like I said, we're going to top these with those jumbo marshmallows that we got. And my 3-year-old saw that I was pulling out the marshmallows and decided that she needed to come up here and show you how to put these marshmallows on top of the sweet potatoes. So I hope you enjoy that. She was very excited to do it. And this is one of my favorite things about the holidays, is just letting my children get involved with baking. And even though they're little, that's something that we can do together. Next, we're going to make my favorite corn casserole recipe, and this just comes together so easily and is really delicious and is going to be kind of like our corn side and a nice bread with our meal. So I've got 2 tablespoons of butter melted in the bottom of this bowl, and then I'm adding 1 Jiffy cornbread mix and 1 can of sweet creamed corn. And we're just going to combine that, and then I'm going to use my sour cream And we're going to do about a 1/4 cup of that sour cream in here as well. And that is all there is to it. Once this is mixed together really well, I'm going to add it to my baking dish. I'm going to make sure that that is greased. And this can go in on 375 as well. I tried to make sure that all of the things we were making can bake on the same temperature in case you are baking everything at the same time. But the beauty of these dishes is that you could easily make them the night before and just heat them up before your meal as well. So this is going to go into the oven, 375, and this is going to cook a little bit longer for about 35 to 40 minutes until you get that golden brown crust on the edges. For our last side, I'm going to put together this creamy green bean casserole. So we're going to start with the classic cream of mushroom soup, and then we're going to add the rest of our container of sour cream to that as well. This ended up even more creamy than I anticipated, so feel free to add however much sour cream is your preference. And then salt and pepper this as well. For my can of green beans, you'll notice I got the big family size because it's actually only a few cents more than the smaller size at Walmart. And so I would go ahead and get that family size just to spread it a little bit further. Make sure to drain your can of green beans before adding them to the bowl, and then just fold them into your sauce. These will also go into your baking dish on 375. I'm going to spread them out, and then we're going to add that entire bag of the crispy onions to the top. This is going to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes, but just keep an eye on those crispy onions and make sure they do not start getting burned. We're going to use that can of chicken broth to make a really quick gravy for anyone that wants it. Even though we don't have any drippings from our chicken, I'm going to stir in a tablespoon of cornstarch before I turn the heat on, and then mix that well. Add a splash of our milk if you like your gravy a little bit creamy, and then you're just going to bring it to a rolling boil. After it's boiled for about a minute or two, it's going to get nice and thick, and you can season this up with whatever you have: salt, pepper, poultry seasoning, thyme, all of those are great. Our food is starting to come out of the oven, and it smells so good. This chicken and stuffing casserole smells incredible. Our cornbread casserole is beautiful and golden. It smells so great. We've got the green bean casserole, really nice and crispy on the top, so creamy. And these marshmallows look beautiful on the top of our sweet potatoes. So I'm going to start serving everything up. I was amazed at how many servings we got out of each of these dishes, probably about 6 to 8 per dish. And I'm just going to get this all plated. I've got my stuffing, my cornbread casserole, adding my green bean casserole, and then some of those delicious sweet potatoes. There's so many different ways you can tweak this meal to fit your personal needs and style, but this came together so delicious, and I feel like you would never know it was done on such an extreme budget. I hope that no matter your budget, this helps you put a delicious, comforting meal on the table for you and your family this holiday season. And do not forget to eat dessert. I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.